There's him.
Is that all right? Or there?
That's all right. I can see you.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah.
Right then. Hello, Paul. Obviously, I'm joined by Paul Robinson. We're going to have quite a candid conversation today. It's obviously there have been some accusations thrown Paul's way, stemming from a situation that happened from IPW UK back in 2014. I felt that Paul did not have the opportunity to speak to anyone on any sort of larger platform. We, of course, released a video on Vimeo that was then deleted. Someone had claimed copyright or something like that. I think the main thing to bear in mind is that this is Paul speaking his side of the story. It's not a fluff piece. It's nothing like that. Paul wouldn't want that. You know, he just wants to tell people his side of the story, what happened back in IPW, and just clarify a couple of bits. Because there's some people that are very much on Paul's side on Twitter, and I don't think they've quite got the right end of the stick. I mean, obviously, there's people that are saying some things that are completely wrong, but there's some people that are trying to defend Paul, and I think they've maybe just got the wrong end of the stick. Is that right to say, Paul, on certain things?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of things I'd like to clarify.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So if you don't mind, we'll start off. First question I had: you deleted your original Twitter account, but re-emerged later with a new handle. Can you please explain why you chose to do this? And just to say, Paul's already had these questions forwarded. Didn't want to blindside him with anything, and I think it's just fair that we're transparent and let people know. Look, you know, we've got everything written down. We just wanted to get it right from the bat. So I'll stop talking. I'll let you.
No, that's right. The Twitter was deleted in, I think it was October time last year. That was because I was character. I've always been in gimmick, and I'd say 90% of the time on Twitter. And I come across a tweet from a female that had it was a dig at me, and I clicked on her Twitter. I scrolled through, see she's taken a couple of digs at me before, and I thought, fair game. I'll quote tweet that, and I called her something that wasn't nice, something that I'd right or wrong say all the time out when I'm making the entrance, but overlook the fact that not everyone's on Twitter for me to be Robbo and be on full all the time. And there was a lot of hate towards me over it, or a lot of nastiness or wrong, like people saying I was wrong. They're fair to their opinion. Progress had asked me to delete the tweet because it was a Progress fan, I assume, and they were getting a lot of tweets. I think they had received tweets or emails over it, and I'd got to a point where I thought, if I can't be my character on Twitter, then I'm not going to have Twitter. And I threw my toys out my pram, or spat my dummy out, however you want to say, and just deleted it. That was that. It wasn't. Yeah, that was me. Just I spat my dummy out. If I can't say what I want, I'll delete Twitter. Okay. I deleted my Twitter. So.
Okay. So to stop any more confusion, can you please just state when and how you decided to part ways with Progress, as several fans online believe you left not of your own volition?
Right. I'm gonna be careful because I don't want to say too much with this. There's conversations that happen that are private, but essentially, my standpoint was, and I said it to the guys and girls at Progress, was if I'm not willing to stand in a wrestling ring, and as much as my gimmick's not me, some of the things I say might be what I believe. And at one point, and I was saying in the ring, I'm an independent contractor. And my words were to management at Progress, I'm an independent contractor. If I own this company and someone was bringing me this much hate or negative publicity, I'd get rid of them. That was my look on it. Because it's up. If I've been accused of something as an independent contractor, it's not their responsibility to clear my name or speak for me. It falls on me. I was accused of something. If I'm bringing them negative press, then I'm not going to be there while I'm trying to clear my name or walking away, whatever I was to do.
I just wanted to bring that up because obviously a lot of people have started this hashtag uncancel Robbo and stuff like that. There's clearly people showing support, but maybe they're thinking you were pushed out rather than you made the decision.
It's hard. I'll be honest. The way I look at it, and I've had time to think about it, because obviously I don't want progress to be seeing this. I don't want progress to be going to anything negative or seeing negative press. But at the same time, I think the best way to explain it would be I couldn't stay there because of fans' opinion or because of it's a fan orientated business. Do you know what I mean? You're only there because the fans want you there. So if I've had to walk away due to fan opinion, maybe it was a case of, well, fan opinion or fan validation is the only thing that's going to be able to bring me back, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because it's as much as anyone would want to use me now, they're not going to be able to until wrestling fans are the ones that say, okay, like they did you good, or you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
They want me on shows before I'm ever, if I was to wrestle again. But that's not the purpose. I just want to clear things up and speak my side.
That's understandable. So I just wanted to ask, why did Progress have to ask for your permission to confirm that you were backstage for those tapings? Was it purely from a legal standpoint that?
I believe so, yeah. Okay. I'd only guess, yeah. Because my attitude to companies like Progress is always be do what you want. So yeah, name that, but it would have been illegal. I'd assume a GDPR. Is it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Just because there was a lot of there was obviously on the flip side of the last question, there was a lot of people saying that it was something that was deliberately hidden, but I don't think that was.
No, I mean,
it wasn't like a deliberately hidden thing, was it?
No. I think it's like any taping. Though we sign sort of any confidentiality agreement or whatever, like privacy. So
which is I'm guessing a similar thing that you do for any sort of pre-taped shows.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd assume it was based on that, and when they were ready to say it, they contacted.
This is going to be quite difficult to talk about. Obviously, this is quite a few years ago now. We're going to move on to some situations that happened from IPW UK, which is, of course, something I just want people to bear in mind as they watch this, that although there have been allegations made against you, we know quite clearly that the person that has made the allegations in terms of other third parties, that she is a victim. And
I've never doubt that.
Without a doubt, and the main reason the speaking out movement and all this happened is because there were issues, of course, and it's.
It's one of the reasons I'm not. I get the situation I'm in, and I don't want to be seen to attacking her.
Yes. Okay.
Because she is a victim, and I'm aware of what she's been through. So. I don't want to attack, but at the same time, things have been misconstrued. There's things have been said about me, aren't there?
Well, with the misconstruing, I wanted to ask: can you understand why certain individuals have accused you of grooming the individual who made the allegations, especially considering the now widely known culture of IPW UK at that time?
Yeah, I can't deny it. If I looked at it, I mean, if I was stood with a bunch of mates and I heard the outline of the story, I'd be the same. It's natural for people to attack, especially if that sort of label's been thrown around. But at the same time, that label needs to be thrown around carefully, because yes, I can see why people might make the assumption, or why I'm being branded as what I was and am being branded as. But at the same time, people, I think, need to understand that wrestlers aren't friends. We weren't I wasn't hanging around with any of these people. I don't socialise with any of them. So looking back on it now, people could see it as they could blanket it and sort of, but I've never socialised. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it was we were all out together sort of thing. The incident in which I'm accused in, obviously, was an isolated one day. There's no story to it or anymore. If you know, I wasn't part of a culture. I never went to any of that company's after parties. So I wasn't within that group or that clique. Yeah. If anything, I was the other end of the scale for years over other issues that weren't related to this. Leading up to this, I'd had issues with him regarding, for example, money, false promises. So, I mean, I was never the promoter's friend. So it was always strictly professional.
Okay. It's because it's again, as in a question that I put to you, I'll obviously shorten it a bit because it's quite a long one. The issue is that a lot of the people that you have worked with or been surrounded by, which you know, you were put in the position by the companies that you worked for. You've had the issue with, of course, again, I don't want to say names, but there was a group that you were with in IPW UK where somebody has been the same person who accused you has also accused another wrestler. She it was more, and he himself has admitted that happened.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Leaders. Let's just say that.
No.
Okay, just to clarify. And of course, there's another person who's in that group who's not said anything publicly, and he got lambasted for not saying anything. And it's kind of brought around this sort of people have tried to say or believe, rightly or wrongly, they're saying, well, it's a whole lad culture. It's whole, we look after each other, we're brethren, that sort of thing. But as you're saying, is that not the case?
No.
Because obviously I don't want to like project anything or say anything for you, but your character and like your stance, you're a lad from Essex. That is, it's the laddie sort of. It's not a commonly known thing in pro wrestling, is it? It's not. You don't get many.
No,
laddie
I get that.
Sort of.
No, which is, again, I've got my life. I'm not friend. For example, that the team you mentioned that was part of Leaders. I haven't been part of that group probably since 2007 or 8. I was only I founded it with Marty, and then other people come in, and I left soon after because they went off and were bigger stars sort of thing. So again, I couldn't tell the last conversation I had with these people. Who I think alluding to with the silence. I can honestly say I've probably, other than planning a match, not had a conversation with him outside of that. I think a lot of people they forget we only see each other for a brief period as wrestlers. So, for example, to put it on me, if you ask any wrestler and any fan, for that matter, what's Paul like, they're going to say, he's a nutter, he's tough, he's hard. I've heard all the labels like that, but how many of them people have seen me have a fight? How many of them people have actually know what I'm like? Very, very few.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're right. It's the same with anyone. We as wrestlers, people turn up to the venue and they can portray the image they want to portray for that few hours. So we don't see what people. We don't know the people. And I don't know a lot of wrestlers. I could pick. I couldn't. It wouldn't take one hand to count the amount of wrestlers I know on a more personal level.
Okay. Well, there's there's someone else that we're not mentioning who's quite intrinsically entwined with your career. And there's the issue in that a lot of people believe that he may have silenced someone, and it's just kind of I think it's understanding where people are putting together two and two. And it's because I can see you understand it, and you just want to say your end of the story.
Oh, I get it.
It's interesting you mentioned about with IPW the promoter and having issues, because earlier in that year I just wanted to talk about, because the alleged incident in Germany was December 2014. I believe that's the December 2014. So earlier in that year you were made IPW UK champion,
right?
Did you suspect any wrongdoing from management around that time, or was it
no
later?
Okay. I hadn't seen anything or witnessed anything. Okay. So no. I mean, I wasn't one. I don't hang around after shows. Okay. So
because also I don't want to be seen as, like I said before, I want this to be coming from a purely these are the facts, these are the statements. Because I think in terms of speaking out, I don't think that anybody's actually had a conversation with anyone in terms of the culture that that festered this, and I think it's important that we discover what happened. We look at what happened back then, and said, okay, well, this is what happened, and because there was some very, very major names, and I think a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
I think mainly a lot of people felt let down. With they professional wrestling fans, British wrestling fans, put a lot of time and a lot of effort, spend a lot of money. A lot of people really were. I'll say, I used to walk around in a Jimmy Abbott t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no,
I felt like I know he doesn't know me. He's been accused of a couple of things. It's very difficult, but I think the main thing is that I just really want to make it clear, because I know some people are going to take this conversation and try and twist it. That
no, of course
we're not attacking. This is purely you just saying, and it's not me trying to defend you. This is me just saying, okay, well, I'm going to give Paul the opportunity to speak. Speaking of which, so the person who accused you, she said that there were some messages sent by your partner to her. Did you want to comment on that at all, or apparently they were harassing?
I think there was a single message. I think if anyone that's seen my video, they'll see that I spoke about the fact that while in Germany there was no kiss between me and Jess. I felt, and that when we didn't have a hotel, we were all getting what sleep we could in the locker room, and I fell asleep on the locker room floor. I fell asleep on my own, woke up on my own. As I woke up, a few of the wrestlers told me that while I was asleep, Jess had come over, laid next to me, and held my hand. I was told this. I confronted the wrestlers as to why they didn't do anything. I had no answer. I even confronted her father, who was in the room watching, and he shrugged his shoulders. So at this point, so I was angered by this, or definitely questioning it. It shouldn't have happened. So, which is another reason why I think I've taken it hard, the fact that I've been accused of kissing this girl, because at the time I made a verbal display of being and showing. I was annoyed at the fact she'd held my hand, especially without my knowledge. So I did what I thought the right thing when I got back.
And just to clarify, she was inebriated at this point, and
he was drunk. Oh yes, yeah. I didn't. I found out obviously in her statement she had drunk throughout the show. Obviously I'm in the changing room, so I haven't seen any of this. So this is all afterwards, where I've had a couple of beers, fallen asleep. Where I had drunk in the afternoon, I'd been sick and just fell asleep in the middle of the locker room with my bag and my pillow, and just honked. So yeah, then maybe a couple of days or a day out. Once I got home, I'd informed my missus, my partner, sorry.
To be fair, and also to be fair, and you said yourself it's the only time you've done it, but drinking before going into a professional wrestling match.
Oh, you don't do it. No. I don't drink very often at all.
But I think if I'm right, you worked with Osprey, so obviously you worked with someone who was your friend. So
and I mean, you can see a point. I know it's not relevant.
It's not relevant, but it's in terms of your character, in terms of trust and that sort of thing. You're going into somebody who may have well also been drinking at that time.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he did, but there's a trust there for that.
Yeah, well, he wasn't a big drinker, but he might have had one or two. He wasn't big. He wouldn't drink. But there's a point I've got him in a head scissors, and we're having a conversation. I'm going to puke, and he tells me to roll over and breathe, and I go over onto the front. And you see the conversation. I've done once, and I've never done again. But so yeah, when I got back home, I informed my partner of what had happened, because I mean, as a 26-year-old, a 16-year-old in my mind has held my hand, and wrestling being wrestling, I'd rather tell her than her be at a show, and hear it through someone else. It's going to sound so. And Charlotte did send a message to Jess, questioning what had happened. I'll read the message.
Okay. as I said before, Paul had already known that I was going to be asking these questions. This isn't
so I got
the thing. He wanted to clarify this, which is understandable.
Because there's things I can, but the message said, "Hello, you may not know me, but I do believe you know the father of my kids. You fell asleep holding his hand on Saturday, so can you tell me what's going on, please?" That's the message.
I mean,
and then I'll be honest, I think what was that? That'd be a day or 2 days later. She showed me that she'd sent a message and showed me I'd hit a thumbs up. So a thumbs up went 2 days later.
Okay.
But that's where a harassment.
The accidental Facebook thumbs up thing.
I mean, there wasn't. But even the text in itself, it's not abusive. It's the mother of my children inquiring, and at the time Charlotte wasn't aware of what was going on with Jess. As I've told her, this is what's happened.
Okay.
And being curious, she's reached out and tried to find out what had gone on.
Which is, from a neutral perspective, is understandable. I think
it wasn't abuse. It was. Yeah. I've heard this. Can you give me some information, please? And there it says please, and it's not. In hindsight, if you look back knowing all the facts, you wouldn't make contact with Jess at all, because you could put it down to other reasons for maybe acting or behaving the way she did, and it wouldn't. It may be explainable from her, but that's after the fact and after we've gathered information as to what she was going through. At the time, it was, I've heard you've told me someone's fell asleep holding your hand. You're the dad of my kids. What's going on? Which
again, I mean, it's if someone had told me that, if my partner had told me that, I'd say to her, well, hey.
That's it.
From a neutral perspective, you're free. She's perfectly free to ask the question. If she's hearing things, and like you've alluded to, I mean, in terms of pro wrestling, it's very gossipy. It's very things are said.
I mean, it wasn't intended to come across as an abuse, and I would apologise if she felt that way, and I do, but it's not. That wasn't never the intention, and I hope that's sort of obvious by the context of the text itself. I mean, it's not. Okay. It wasn't intended to be abusive or harassing.
Okay. When you did find out about what was happening with that promoter, but why didn't you go to the police? I think you mentioned before that you wanted to take on the world. You felt like you could. It was something systemic that you discovered in. It was people that you probably trusted. I'm guessing it's people that you worked for. Why did you not go to the police?
I genuinely haven't got a reason or an excuse, and I'll always regret it and be sorry for that fact. That I think it's not an excuse, because I'll state first and foremost, I was wrong. I am wrong for handling it the way I did and not reaching out to the police. But at the time, you're in wrestling, you're in a bubble, and I mean, I had over the course of time arguments with her dad about why isn't he going to the police. And I'll be honest, I think sometimes you get that mentality of, well, if he's not willing to, what are they going to do if I go there? And you make excuses for yourself, I think. And I mean, I don't want to. Again, I don't. What you got to understand is, I think some people might not see the timeline. This all come out in January of 2015. So everyone that was there and working was aware of these incidents.
Okay.
I can say
that about a month after.
Yeah, but they were aware of what this man was capable of and what he was up to and what he was doing. Okay. I left the company in January of that year. I went back in the September, and I did go back. Nothing had changed. The person, Jess, she was still going to shows with her father, who was wrestling. And the incident with a certain, I don't know if I can name names who she accused, but let's say the American wrestler,
okay,
that was over here working for the company. That incident with him happened in December of 2015, and Jess's father was there. So
nearly a full year
of me screaming and me shouting, and plenty of others. There's, not to name their names, but there's a couple of geezers out there that screamed and shouted. They were saying it back then. There's people. So it was, yes, I did go back. In hindsight, looking back, that was wrong. I took that 9-month gap and went back. But I'll be honest, I was in the mentality of, well, if a dad's still taking her to shows and he's aware of what's happening, why should I care? And I know that that's going to be.
Yeah, well, no, thank you for being honest.
And I know that
being honest about it.
It's like, well, what can I do then? What's the point? Do you know? And I mean, you start as an adult, you get to put. I've got my own responsibilities and worries, and you've banged and screamed for that long, and no one cares. You just throw your own.
Again, from a neutral, this is probably what a place you're going to once a month. You'd be working out once a month.
Yeah, from September. Yeah,
I suppose you wouldn't. You probably wouldn't be
I'm
having
only
conversations.
No, I'm not talking. And I'd tried. Others had tried. I'd left the company, gone back, and it was still what do you know what I mean? And I mean, there's promoters that I've spoken to since, more than one, that have said to me, I wish I'd listened to you back then. I thought you was just chatting. I thought you just didn't like them. I thought you just was mouthing off because you didn't like him. It's like, no, I wouldn't.
Was there a bit of you that was worried about, because it was a big promotion, wasn't it? It was internationally known promotion. Was there a part of you that was worried that if you really kicked up a stink, you'd be, blacklisted?
No, I don't care. What, that I burned bridges?
Yeah.
No, I mean, the day I left IPW in January, some of the things I said to Edler weren't nice.
January 2015, yeah.
January, sorry. Yeah, so in this January, I mean, what had happened was, because I had rows with Edler and I'd blown it out and I'd told everyone what was going on, I was booked to wrestle Ospreay. And it got round to me that he was going to announce it once we were in the ring that it was loser leaves IPW. So I was going to basically lose and have to leave. Okay. And I said to Dan, and the words were to the effect of, if that, everyone knows, I said, if that's announced, Will's going to lay down for me. I'm going to go and rob your mum on the door of all her money off that she's taken. I'm going to rob you, set light to your car, fuck off. I said, you ain't fucking playing games. Okay. So and that happened. I'm being straight. That was what I said in front of everyone in the locker room. I was loud about it because I'd been screaming about what was going on for so long. I had the match with Ospreay. I think he won anyway, but that match announcement wasn't made. And then I left, and I never went back until the September. Because I'd burned bridges with him lots in the past, and I mean, even after going back, I won the tag titles. And he started telling everyone I'd thrown the tag belt in the River Thames. A lot of wrestlers can confirm that, because we just always, for some reason, we always worked together, or I worked for IPW, but we never got on. It's weird to look back. Even when there was a transition of ownership at IPW, we went down to the locker room, and Dan was there, and everyone was shaking his hand, and I was asked to shake his hand, and I refused. And I was the only one out of everyone there that wouldn't shake the man's hand. And it's always, I've never got on with him, but always been welcome at the company. I think it was more a status point of he's one of the originals for keeping me around, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a case of I want Paul on the shows. It was Paul's IPW will have him on the shows, I feel. But yeah, sorry, I've talked a bit there, but yeah, it was nice. I can't remember the original question.
It was about it was why you didn't go to the police, and it's good to understand the culture. Yeah. It's good to understand the culture as well. And like you said, I mean, you yourself have said that you weren't pleased with the way you dealt with it at the time. You know, the shouting and screaming.
And I didn't. It's hard. What do you? I mean,
how else do you?
Even looking back, now, at the time, I could have gone to police and I could have been knocked back. So it's got a crap thing to say now, but looking at it, the police probably wouldn't have taken what I said on unless she or her dad were willing to make a statement anyway.
Well, okay. Well, that's that. Okay. Yeah, that's.
Looking at it now, I mean, if I'd gone to the police, they only would have gone back to the people involved, and they would have denied it.
Well, we can't say for definite, but
yeah.
Okay, but yeah, not for definite, but it's
no, but if you look at the time, I think
if you look statistically at the situation,
he's not telling them. Why would I? Like you do, you don't take the right attitude.
That's I mean, I can understand why you'd feel that way if that person at the time. I mean, again, she was a victim. I think that's so important to remember. And you've obviously remembered it. You've made statements today mentioning that this is not an attack on her. I mean, I personally would not want any extra abuse or anything.
I'm not going to say shit. Like it's her right to, but I've gone as far to even in 2019 when she was at shows intoxicated. So she's old enough, but she was very intoxicated. I made the promoter aware, even there, like look, just to make you aware things have happened in the past.
Was that in IPW?
No, that wasn't at IPW. No, okay. It was in Brighton.
Okay. That's Don't worry.
Yeah, no. That's it. So it's not. I've always, even since then. Do you know what I mean? It's not. I've only ever tried to. That's the. I think that's what hurts in a way. I mean, I've tried. I've only ever wanted to help, and I've not. I can honestly say there's never been any desire or intent to have a sexual relationship with someone of that age, and it didn't. It's not what happened. So it's, I've just always tried to look out and help. Sorry.
No. It's fine. This is why you're here to talk. So whatever. I mean, that's pretty much everything we had in terms of what we discussed initially. We're going to talk about. Is there anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to go through?
No, there's a few things I'd like to add. Like, don't do well with teams. My newest team that I've been a part of. There's a member of that was obviously accused of things, and it's got back to me that people are commenting that we're friends and buddies still. And I'll openly confirm that when his accusation was made, I'm not going to say the context or contents of the conversation, but I phoned him and asked him about it, and we've never spoke since.
Okay, wow.
So we're not friends anymore. There's things like that. People seem to think I'm behind the scenes, I'm running off and I'm buddies with all these people, but I ended that friendship after one conversation because I wasn't satisfied. I mean, yes, I'll be upfront. I know Will Ospreay. He lives in Japan. I'm not involved in do you know what I mean? It's separate lives still. So people are bringing that in on me as well. I live in Canvey Island, Essex, with my partner and 2 kids and a full-time day job. A lot of these people that are being associated with me, they live in different parts of the country or world, and we don't talk. I talk to Will. We check in on each other. I'm not going to ever deny it because he's the only one we've had a friendship with away from wrestling. So, but anyone else, we don't. I'm not associating with these people. I see them at shows, and that's it.
But again, you can see where.
That's it.
People can come to that conclusion.
Yeah, because nobody knows this. Nobody would know that me and the conversation that was had and the friendship sort of terminated. Yeah. You aren't aware of this because I don't go on Twitter or social media and say, "Oh, So it's not. There's things that happen or have happened or being done, have been done that people don't see and won't see. that I think projects my character better than what you see.
Yeah. Professional wrestling's an odd one, isn't it? In that it's sort of real, but it sort of isn't real.
No, that's it.
I mean, if it was,
like I said earlier, you portray the image you want people to have of you. Everyone at the time and nutter. None of them have seen me actually have a fight. Not really. They've seen me have a choreographed play fight. So that's it. That's not anyone can do. Not anyone, but you know what I mean. Like
yeah.
It's not a real fight. None of these people that think I'm all tough and hard have seen me fight. I'm 5'4" and 6 stone wet. Do you know what I mean? It's not. And then so people portray the image they want others to have of them. And you got to understand that. I think in life in general, it helps. You know, nobody knows anyone. So, and to be tarred with the brush I have been is it's just killed me because I'm not that person. Yeah, so it's at the same time, like I mean, I don't know. I advocated so hard back then, so to be thrown into the accusation and be accused of something is devastating. And I might get a lot of stick for people saying, "Oh, he just wants to wrestle again." I'm only ever going to wrestle if fans want me to, and even if there's a small portion that don't, I won't come back to wrestling, and that's fine. But I didn't do what I'm being accused of, and once I got out of the slump of it all, it was like, no, I need to stick up for myself. I'm not guilty, so I'm not going to run, and I'm going to fight and stand up for myself for as long as I have to. Not to convince everyone, but I've got children that are going to see the internet that know I wrestled, and they're going to search it, and they're going to see it. And it'd be different if I had done what I'm being accused of, because I'd find ways of hiding it and preventing it, but I've got no reason to hide it or to try and keep them away from that. I worked 18 years to build the small niche in a small market of what I had. And I didn't do what I'm being accused of. So I'm just not gonna, I'll just fight for as long as I have to, because it might never work, and that's fine, but a guilty man is wrong, and that's not me.
Okay.
And I'll beat the drum as long as I need to.
I think again, just it's worth making the point that you're not fighting against the person who accused you. You're fighting against.
No, because that's the thing. I'm not even saying she's lying. This is what I don't want this to be seen as an attack. Yeah. But
no,
when I was 21, recalling a drunken night at 16, you weren't going to get a full picture. I weren't going to recollect everything.
And that was the first time you met her, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the first time I met her. Okay. So it's the first time I've met her. We were going out and having cigarettes together, and that's another thing I've been questioned on, when people said, "Do you think it's appropriate for me to be doing it?" When, if I'm in a normal setting, if a 16-year-old was going outside after having a drink, was going outside for a cigarette in a foreign country, intoxicated, I'm the sort of person that someone would go out with her and keep an eye on her.
Okay, yeah. So, that's understandable. Yeah. Okay.
It was like, without saying, especially again with the perception people have got of me, if you think I'm this, you're going to say, Paul, keep an eye on her. Because at least people would tend to think, oh, she's safe, Paul's looking after her.
Don't go near him, yeah, he's enough.
No, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, people aren't going to think Paul's going outside with a 16-year-old. Oh, that's a bit suspect.
Okay.
It's going to be
in the context of it, you knew her father. You knew
her father was there. I was there I was probably the only other smoker, so it made sense. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you're looking out for someone. It wasn't.
I guess you'd be going out for that point anyway. You weren't specifically going outside because you can open doors. You're going outside to smoke because you can't smoke in. Okay, but yeah, that's.
We're going out to the fag anyway. He's keeping an eye on her. She's a 16-year-old drunk girl.
Just if there's any American people watching, that word is cigarette in England.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Don't worry. Just thought I'd make sure. Just in case.
So I'm not even necessarily saying she's lying. She might believe something happened.
Okay.
But especially the position I am and was in my life, after wrestling, I've only had a couple of beers. You can wrestle, you're not drunk or feeling drunk afterwards. You know what I mean? You're fine. So I had a couple of bottles of beer, and so I wasn't all over the place after wrestling. I'd spewed up. I just felt like crap. I was more hungover. Do you know what I mean? I was like at that point after the show. So I'd be fully aware if I'd kissed a 16-year-old. And then I wouldn't have gone on to react the way I did to her holding my hand. So that's it. But these things just didn't happen. And that's again, yeah, it's not attacking her, because a lot of things have happened to her. And that's always going to be with her. And it was a traumatic experience. So but there was never a kiss between me and her.
Okay. So just in my head, just in terms of the timeline that you mentioned. So
yeah.
So you've met this person in December 2014.
Yeah.
It's come out in January 2015 that the guy who owned the promotion had been doing this sort of thing with a numerous amount of people. I don't know the exact ins and outs of it. But the point is, it's a month after you've met this person. I'm just trying to get it in my head, because there's people that are saying things like you and a group of other people were part of a grooming gang, because that is in terms of like, you know, grooming, in terms of you know, that sort of thing. It's not unheard of in this country that sort of thing to happen. So
no, I mean,
some people have got it in their head that is what happened. But if you'd met this person in December, and then it came out in January, and you left the promotion shortly after that.
Yeah.
And again, I'm looking at this from a neutral standpoint. I don't see where, I mean, considering the fact, well, I mean, what it would have been, early December?
And then Germany?
Yeah.
Is around the 10th, between 10th and 14th, around that sort of time.
Okay. And I mean, after that, you'd have been back at the 9 to 5, and you'd probably had 2 weeks off for Christmas, and then I worked Christmas.
So that's what I would have been on call at Christmas. I was on the tour. I was working, so I would have been back on. If anything, I worked. There's more money to be on at Christmas. I'm head down at Christmas.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, to be honest, it's fair enough. Don't blame. Okay. I just from a personal standpoint, obviously, I've only met you a couple of times. You won't remember. You were very much in character. I've only met you a couple of times. I've seen, you know, like you said, you come out in front of the media when you were a quote unquote bad guy. You weren't too happy to see us. When you then come out to see us, I think it was after you won the Proteus Championship.
Yeah.
I saw a completely different person, and it was. I know, obviously, it's difficult for you to defend your position, because you're trying to defend yourself. Somebody has been abused. She has been a victim. Members of her family have been in that situation and not done anything about it. I mean, that's factual. That is.
But again, I don't want to give this man.
You don't want to attack her, but I can see where.
Even on him, he was in a difficult position and being taken advantage of. If you look back at it, he was being. So I don't want it to. It's good. I can sit here and say what I would have done, but I'm a confrontational person if I need to be.
Okay.
Whereas since then, especially, I've learned not everyone's like that, and regardless.
And obviously, if he's getting paid, if he's part of something that.
Exactly, his dream is correct, and he's living his dream.
Okay. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the cost of his daughter's well-being, but I don't want to hate him or hate on him, because I've never been in that position. Not to the. Do you know what I mean?
Hopefully, no one should have to be in that position.
No. So I don't want to sit here and say, "Oh, this is what I would have done," because I'm not him. I might have been a bit more physical about it and gone straight to someone, but not everyone is like that. And that's why there are bullies in the world, because there are people that won't stand up and speak and fight back, and that's not wrong. It's it's them. It's the way they are.
Yeah.
And so it's not. I'm not saying it is wrong. But that's who he is. He felt he couldn't speak up for whatever reason, and I mean, he's taken him time, I assume, to get over that himself. I mean, he's had to recover. So
yeah, he's also a victim of
exactly. So I'm not hating on him. I'll sit here and say at the time, because at the time it was me saying, I'm telling her dad's not doing nothing. But looking back, or even after the fact, it's, well, maybe I would have done something. There's a reason why he doesn't. Do you know what I mean? He's not me. He's
like
his
said,
own person.
you're in your mid-20s.
Yeah.
You know, you're in your mid-20s. You're cocky. You're confrontational. You thought
Yeah.
we deal. I mean, I don't know. I've not been in the professional wrestling industry, but if you're behind the scenes, I think there's a lot of a sense of, from what I can tell, a lot of sense of we deal with our own. We fix it in house. What is going on?
Yeah, yeah, and it's like a big cockfight. It's stupid. I could get back to this, but I'm thinking wrestlers are insecure people. And they all care about themselves and looking after themselves, and that don't help. Which I found has always helped, because I live an external life with a full-time job. So as much as it's wrong, I love wrestling, always have and always will. But I've got it's not the be all and end all.
Okay.
Do you know, for me? So,
and I have, and in fairness, I have heard you say that in the past. That's not a new thing. You have said that.
No, I've always wrestled. So when something like that is happening, people, that's why you're going to get victims like myself and a couple of geezers, because they've got a life. Do you know what I mean? They're not insecure. They're not worried about themselves. So that's why I find people like them, and maybe myself, are more willing to have been the way we were at the time. Maybe not going as far as going to the police, but we weren't just going to push them down and say nothing. And yeah, that's where I stand on that. But,
well, I do appreciate you talking to me, because it is a difficult situation for everyone.
No, it's hard. I mean, I'm trying to be a little bit careful, obviously, because it's natural. I mean, I've never had to do anything like this. It's a nervous feeling. But yeah, I don't want people to think that I am what I'm being accused of, because I'm not. I'm not part of that group, never was. And I was in an isolated, or the accusation was an isolated sort of period of time. And it was never extended beyond that. So the grooming and the accusations like that, just,
I think that's a heavier accusation. From what I've seen, that is a heavier accusation. There's
no getting away from it. It's only because, in a way, I think what didn't help as well is, at the time, I never attacked it initially, because I think in my own ignorance, I assumed it was a case of enough people were around back then. Everyone's going to have me back and be like, hang on a sec. Paul called that out and buggered off for a little while, or he went away for a little while. But so many people have moved on or left since then, and there's a new group about that. As much as they might know me or think they know me, they weren't a witness to what was happening. But so out of ignorance, I didn't. It's so disrespectful and wrong to say, but I didn't think people would take an accusation against me seriously. That sounds, for example, if someone said it in reality, in like my life, I know full well everyone's gonna. I know every accusation needs to be taken seriously, and it needs to be.
Yes.
But I
if you felt you'd earned and gained the trust of the people that you worked with at that point,
I thought I'd be the first person that, if an accusation such as what's been thrown at me was thrown at me, more people would come to me at least and be like, Paul, why is she saying this?
But what's interesting is bearing in mind that say when you worked in that company, it was once a month. Thinking it's again, you just don't know people, do you? You don't.
No.
And you had the idea in your head of, like, these people respect me, I work with these people, but again, it's something for you to take away from it that you genuinely don't know.
No, you don't know. It's the same anywhere. You don't know people, and people need to understand that. I'm a world apart from what I portray. I have to be. I mean, it's running around in the garden now. I've tried to come out. I've come outside to it. So I don't want him to hear me talk like this. But I mean, I'm
understandable.
I've been in the garden all day, and like I'm not about going out. I'm not a proper lad. Do you know what I mean? It's not me. I mean,
well, let's be fair. No one's about going out at the moment, but
no. I'm not the person I portray, and I'm not the person I think I am. And I've not done what I've been accused of, and I'm not the person I'm being made out to be. So it's hard. I just wanted to. Mate, I can't. It's hard to explain. It's it's up and down at the moment because 1 minute I'm angry and do want to attack, and then the next I'm sort of feeling sorry for yourself, like yourself, and it's hard. But I just want people to know that. I just want people to know what I'm saying and the truth to it. So yeah, sorry, I'll just ramble because it's just gone round my head.
It's understandable. It's understandable.
A long time now, so it's hard. Yeah,
I think it's good. It's good for people to see. You're just. I mean, yes, you did get the questions ahead of time, but from what we discussed like the last couple of minutes, you are.
I'm not. If I haven't written anything down, there's no notes.
Yeah,
That's the message on my phone.
So I think it's quite clear you're in your head having the conversation.
Yeah. It was more. I wanted the questions more so I could. I wanted to try and avoid naming names.
Yeah,
that was more the fact. And the question, I see the questions. They had a brief look, and that was it. You can tell I'm not talking planned because it's just not how I wouldn't want to. Do you know what I mean? I wanted this to be genuine, but I just didn't want to be caught out by a name or something and when we have to go back but I'll still, just because tells me I'm not willing to talk about anything. I'll talk if people see this and have questions. I implore them to reach out. I think that's the word. Because I'm happy to discuss it with anyone. I'm happy to talk. Whether, for example, I was getting a little bit of heat because I'd messaged the Progress fan because she had put something up about, I think I mentioned it earlier, me being friends with someone, and I reached out to her, and she's posted saying like Paul's right, he's reached out, and I'm sort of invading her privacy. But even in the message I sent her, the message is something to the effect of, I might even say, I hope you're well. I've heard that you've been saying some truth about me. I'm happy to discuss this with you if you'd like to engage in conversation. So I mean, I'm not even.
And then to be fair to her, if it's coming from a position of your Twitter account is being used in a kayfabe way, I know this is recent. I know, but if she's seeing that as that's how you work before.
I understand it. Yeah. That's why, but that's why I'm clarifying now. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw anything or any facts at anyone that doesn't. Like, if you don't want to hear me out, don't hear me out. You're entitled to that. But if you've got questions or you're not sure, or I'm not. I don't want to throw things. Oh, this is what happened. I don't want to. I'm screaming and shouting. It's not me anyway. That's just. I'm not that person.
I mean, you said before that you were screaming and shouting, but that was when you were in your mid-20s. You're a different person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now the kids are growing up, and I'm trying to lead by example, sort of thing. So I'm not that at all. So I'm just. That's what I mean. I'm not telling anyone to talk to me. It's a case of you'd like to discuss it, and especially if you are saying things that aren't true. People are saying facts, or stating things as fact that there's no evidence or nothing to back it up. It's just picked out because it suits an agenda, I feel, and that hurts as well. There's things that have been said that nowhere has this been stated. It's just been sort of made up, and that it just hurts because I know Oh yeah, I'm in a position. I'm rightfully feel like because I've been wrongly accused. So yeah, there's just times it's hard. It's been so hard for me to stay the way I have and not reach out to more people. But a lot of them, they don't want to discuss it because they've got their opinion, which is happy. I'm happy. Like for them, they're entitled to that. But please, if you're gonna say things about me, at least say things that are true. I mean, I've done enough horrible, wrong things in the past that I'm sorry for. Do you know what I mean? That are that's a fact. I don't want to be remembered in wrestling as someone that went out as a nonce because that ain't it. Do you know, that's as simple as that. I don't want to be. Oh, he's the one that had to leave because he was a nonce because that ain't what I am, and I never will be. And there's, I don't think people realise the damage that accusation can cause, especially if it's not true. And they need to realise that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Paul.
No, you're right.
I do appreciate it. Yeah, we'll stop there.
Yeah.